During the pandemic, the impact of the COVID-19 coronavirus continues to inform our Insider Public Affairs program. Hello and welcome to the Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. For our viewers and our listeners on the radio, thank you for joining us. We continue today with our COVID-19 focused editions of our program, and today it's all about Visit Erie and how hard the tourism industry has been hit by the virus. My guest is John Oliver, Visit Erie President and CEO. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lisa.
Well, let's talk about the hard part first. How important is tourism to our region, convention, business, recreation, important to our local economy, and how has the shutdown really hurt?
Well, tourism is become a very important and large part of the economy in Erie. We've been seeing visitors spend over $1 billion in direct visitor spending. During the summer months, we've seen 17,500 people employed in the leisure and hospitality field, and it generates about $200 million in federal, state, and local taxes. So it's been extremely important to the economy. And has been showing growth over the last 20 years.
So how hard was this hit? Because for a time, everything was completely shut down, and a lot of things still are.
Tourism has been hit harder than probably any other segment of the industry, not only in Erie, but nationwide. When you look at the national unemployment figures, it's estimated that 38% of those people unemployed are in the leisure and hospitality field, and we've probably seen close to that kind of a job loss here in Erie County. And I believe that it's something that we're going to see this job loss while improving as we move forward, probably still having a major impact through our summer and probably into next year.
Because we're talking not just about hotels or people going to the beach or going fishing. I mean, we're talking about flights, restaurants. So many things are under your umbrella.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. People normally and correctly think that, well, tourism is our hotels, but it's all of our restaurants. It's our retail. The number of people that we attract from Southern Ontario, New York, and Ohio that come in to shop and spend time and money in the community, along with all of our attractions. Tourism may not be the major business driver for a lot of businesses, but it certainly is providing that extra amount of business and revenue that they otherwise wouldn't have. I think if you look at Upper Peach Street and the number of retail opportunities and outlets that are there, we as Erie residents, there are not enough of us to support those facilities. And if you drive through the parking lot and look at the license plates from Ontario, Ohio, and New York, you can see that we're benefiting by having people from outside our county come into our county to spend money. And of course, when they spend money, they generally are not looking for very many services. They come in, spend the money, turn around and go home, where they expect to have schools and other kind of services that we as residents expect.
I think it's human nature to want someone to blame for what we've gone through, but what has Visit Erie's posture been about weighing health and safety against the bottom line?
Well, we've been very, very cognizant of that. We will and have not marketed or promoted Erie to areas that are not in the same health situation as we are. So basically, when the shutdown began in the middle of March and through April, we were not out promoting Erie to any great degree. And our time really was spent during that time trying to take advantage of that time to reach out to groups to try to get them to either postpone if that was the case or reschedule. So we're very careful that when we were in yellow, we would not look to promote until another area in Pennsylvania was in yellow, or whether it was in Ohio or New York, they had a similar health situation as Erie, because we did not want to be an industry that would bring cases of COVID into the county intentionally.
So on the day we're recording this, the county is still lobbying to go to that green phase. We might know that by the time the program airs, but I know you organized a task force to start thinking about the comeback. But again, that's about more than what the governor allows us to do. You really have to build confidence for local workers, supporters of your industry here locally, as well as the plans to bring those from outside the region back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really is two-pronged. It's making first that the health of our residents who are working in the hospitality industry, that we keep them safe and protected. And by the same token, by doing that, we think we can also keep the health and the safety of visitors who are looking to leave their own county, their own homes, that they can come and visit us in Erie and feel safe and secure in doing so.
Well, you put together a great "We'll Be Here" message, a video. We're going to take a look at that when we come back and also talk about the task force's plans across 6 different areas. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. We're talking with John Oliver, President and CEO of Visit Erie, about how the coronavirus has deeply challenged the tourism industry and how they're working hard to come back and bring people back safely, especially with summertime almost here. So you stopped your long distance marketing, as you mentioned, for a while, but you did create this "We'll Be Here" message, and we'll watch that now and listen, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
We know this is a strange and scary time. Our hearts go out to all of the people and families who have been affected by COVID-19. Know that we'll be here with welcoming arms when you're ready to travel again. Our beaches and world-class sunsets aren't going anywhere. We'll get through this together. And when life gets back to normal, we hope to see you again in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Some really beautiful images of our region there. So what went into creating that? I mean, because I work in this business, I notice so much creative and imaginative marketing that has gone on during this time.
Well, we felt it was important, and recognizing that at the time that we put this video together and then really released it through social media, we recognized that people were not looking to travel at that point. The stay-at-home orders were just taking place, but we wanted people to remember. We wanted to keep the name Erie in front of them so that when they felt secure and safe to travel again, that they would still remember Erie was here, and we would be waiting to welcome them safely when they were prepared and ready to travel. So it's part of our effort. We followed that up, consistently coming out with messages, showing different shots of Erie, saying we're still here. Remember the good times you had when you visited, or the good times you'll have when you come back again. So it was an effort to, while not, outright saying, come and see us now, it was that, hey, we're still here, don't forget about Erie, because we're a great vacation destination.
So early on, our county executive encouraged every business to have a plan for reopening. And I know your task force has been hard at work for a few months here, actually, focusing on making things safe across 6 areas. So let's dig in and look at the thinking in each of those. First, let's take a look at accommodations. And this is a big one because I imagine hotel occupancy has been very low. And of course, the Scott Enterprises, a group looking forward to opening that big new hotel.
Correct. We divided up what we felt was the hospitality industry into six sectors, and then reached out and asked for participants who have businesses in those sectors to provide us the kind of guidance and what they were planning to do to make sure that their facilities, their properties, would be able to open and be safe. We wanted to be sure that, in particular, the concern that had been expressed by a number of people, again, of out there promoting and bringing people into this community um, to spread the COVID 19. And so we wanted to also be sure that when we could promote, we would be able to assure our visitors. The number one thing that visitors, potential visitors anywhere, are focused on right now is their safety when they're planning their travel. So we looked at the accommodations. They were already and remained open. Most of our hotel properties have been open through this entire thing, providing accommodations for those that have needed it. So they put together and came back with this is the list of things that they were suggesting that they were going to undertake. And it was suggested, and we thought it made sense then to get that out to all of our accommodations or all of our hospitality properties, that these are some suggested protocols that they should be sure that they're including as they're preparing when that time comes to open.
And so, John, a lot of these are kind of common across the six areas: increased cleaning, what type of cleaning that you're using, and of course the distancing. But just one more quick note on accommodations. You're going into a room where somebody else was breathing for the last day or so. So the other idea to keep rooms unoccupied for a day or so before the next guests come in.
Yes, it was one of the suggestions that came back from the accommodations was that where possible and fully recognizing and understanding that we're not going to be at the same occupancy levels that we were a year ago, that where they had that possibility that they would leave rooms unoccupied. Again, when you're looking at hotels that have operated for years with the sanitation and the safety of their guests top of mind, in terms of going into clean rooms, they're already doing a lot of that.
All
This
right.
would probably, they're looking at not cleaning the room every day when it's occupied so that there's not interaction between the staff and the guest that's there. Our steps that we think will provide additional health and safety for both our residents, our staffs that are there, along with our visitors, and assure the visitors that every step is being taken where possible to make sure that they're not going to be put into an unsanitary condition.
All right, we have to move quickly through these next two, but let's look at restaurants because I think that's what a lot of people are thinking about, although restaurants have been doing carry out. The whole idea here is really spreading people out, wiping down menus and, disposable things with condiments and so on. Can restaurants survive if we're spreading people out and they can't have the capacity that they had before?
Well, that is a concern. I mean, restaurants operate on such a very small margin um, that, and oftentimes they base the success of their business on the number of seats that they're able to have. So it is going to be difficult for some of them to do that. But recognizing that this is the new normal, we're going to need to do that.
All right.
Restaurants, probably more than any industry anywhere, have been involved with food safety from day one. They're constantly monitored. They're sanitizing and cleaning workstations and doing a lot of that, and they have for years. For them to just do a little bit more of the sanitizing in the restaurants is something that I think they'll be able to accomplish, and people should feel comfortable going to restaurants because, again, safety is been their number one priority prior to COVID.
All right, so really quickly here, John, then small attractions and retail. I think a lot of this has already started to open during the yellow phase with increased sanitation and so on. And so far, so good?
Yes, again, small attractions are not able to open under the yellow or have not been able to open under yellow. So the green will give them the opportunity to open their doors and greet visitors.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the other three areas and plans to keep those safe, especially those large attractions, one sticking point. Stay with us. Welcome back to The Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. We're talking with John Oliver, President and CEO of Visit Erie, about the challenges ahead in his industry. So large attractions, I think, is one thing everybody's wondering about. We're talking about Waldameer or Erie events or the Erie Philharmonic, places where big crowds come together. Any hope for those even in the green phase?
Well, I think, yes, I do believe that some of our attractions certainly hope that Waldameer, the attractions are doing the same thing everyone else has. They're looking at protocols on how to spread people out and looking at ways that they can handle larger crowds or controlling those crowds that are coming in so that social distancing can take place. And I think that if you look at the list of protocols, you can see that that's exactly what they're looking to do. And again, with any of these protocols, the idea is just to get across the message that cleanliness and sanitizing is going to be job number one of any of these facilities for visitors.
But you also have to have people that are coming there without fevers and doing what they're supposed to do as well. So let's take a look at facilities. What's covered under this umbrella?
What we looked at facilities were the convention center, the arenas, those type Erie Bank Sports Park, facilities that handle large crowds. And there's a lot of steps being taken right now by those facilities. They're preparing, again, protocols. How do they do social distancing? How do they look to check to make sure people coming in, are healthy and increased in terms of sanitizing the facilities, the number of times that they go through and do this. So, we'll be looking at groups and in some cases there'll be smaller size groups coming in because of the social distancing.
And so a lot of people say, they want more guidance from the state on what green means. Do you have an opportunity to ask those kinds of questions behind the scenes? I mean, we hear what's said publicly by the governor and the Secretary of Health, but does an organization like yours get some inside scoop or influence?
Well, I won't say that we have inside scoop. Our task force recommendations on these protocols were sent to the governor, were sent to our state delegation, and the state health department to make sure that they knew we were preparing for this, so that it would give them some comfort level at moving us from red to yellow to green, that Erie hospitality would be prepared for that.
And lastly, here in this section, transportation. I know our airport has already lost flights and is concerned about losing more, something that we've really fought for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've certainly implemented everything necessary and they've continued to operate. We're not the only community that's lost flights. I mean, they're large cities, small communities, everyone seems to have lost flights. I think that's something that as the demand comes back, I think we'll start to see the flights come back. That may take a little bit longer than I think other segments of the hospitality industry to come back, simply because people are going to need to really develop a level of comfort before they want to fly to destinations.
And that economic comeback is exactly what we're going to talk about when we come back as well. Stay with us. Welcome back again to The Insider. We're talking with John Oliver from Visit Erie about their plans to come back and bring people back safely. So what's the short-term view here? Will there be winners and losers, some businesses that don't survive this in your sector?
The main concern we have is restaurants, and because of the limitations on size of their facility to accommodate people, that is a concern. I do think that, we'll see our accommodations and our attractions will survive and come back.
Yeah, some economists are talking about a V, kind of a deep drop economically and then a deep climb out. But others are saying it's going to be a slow climb out of the hole. So your thoughts on that?
Well, I do think Erie, in terms of tourism, is in a good position geographically. All indicators and surveys that have been taken, polls show that visitors are really looking to want to drive in their own car. And that's basically been our market. We'll continue to market to the Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo area for that drive-in. So I think we're going to be in a position to come out of this quicker than some other areas. We've seen hotel accommodation numbers for April were slightly higher than we had anticipated, and indications are that May may have been better than we had anticipated. I don't think we'll be back, to where we were in 2019 until probably sometime about a year from now. But I do think we will start to see our markets climb up. Leisure travel will be first to come back. I think then we may be looking at, with proper protocols, bringing back maybe some of the youth sports events, and some of those that we've had, fishing tournaments, etc., will come back. So I am encouraged that the climb will be slow, but it seems like, and looking at other situations that have occurred, the Great Recession, 9/11, that tourism as an industry tended to come back quicker than others. There always seems to be a pent-up demand from people.
Yep.
And I think this is very true with COVID. They want to get out of their house. They want to go somewhere that looks different, but health and safety is going to be the key message.
John, thanks for being with us. We have time for one last question, but you got to give me a one-word answer. Are we ready to go green, yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Thanks again for being with us, and I know you'll keep us posted on what's happening in your industry. And always, thank you for being with us as well. If you have an idea for us to explore on The Insider, just email me at ladams@wicu12.com, and join us again next time for The Insider.